So you have been chosen or elected or selected to become a church leader. Congratulations and welcome aboard. This training time will address some basics, some essential qualities and basic ethics that go along with being a church leader. We recognize that some churches exercise leadership through administrative roles and others who lead by caring. And some churches combine those roles and responsibilities. Storehouse Resourcing operates with a simple assumption that church leaders serve best when they operate with character and with integrity. So if you are an administrative leader, you exercise pastoral care over an entire organization. But when you do, don't forget the people who make up that organization. The church is not a business. It is a system of relationships. And if you exercise your leadership role in a caring ministry, you exercise pastoral care with individuals and households. But when you do, don't forget that they are part of a larger system of relationships. Those relationships include an organization that relates to other organizations and entities and institutions. So whether your leadership is being exercised first to individuals or first to the organization, or a combination of the two, we will address some key and core issues that relate to both kinds of leaders. We want to encourage you, equip you, and empower you to be a faithful and effective leader. So you've been elected or selected or chosen, or perhaps you volunteered to serve in the local church. Maybe that's not how you got here at all. One of my church leaders uses a memorable expression. He says, "I was voluntold to be here." Sometimes that fits too. I like that. So however you got to this point, whether you were called or elected, selected, chosen, or volunteered, thank you for your willingness to do so. Life is full and demands are high. One of the first things that you will want to do is learn to find the balance between meeting the needs of yourself and your household, your work and your family, and the needs of the church in this position. If your own soul, your own marriage, your work, and your family is paying too high of a price, you are probably giving too much. Having said this, leadership and service in the church is going to require some time and commitment. That time and commitment will make your experience rich and meaningful, but you will need to figure out how to balance your other commitments. So here are 10 things for you to consider as you step into your new role. Number 1, be clear about what is expected of you and be okay with asking questions. It is okay to know how many meetings you need to go to, what the frequency is, how long those meetings will last. Enter those into your phone or your calendar or your computer and let them be part of the rhythm of your schedule. Be regularly involved and engaged in worship. Participate and engage in your congregation's ministries. Get to know the particulars of your role. Number 2 is be visible and be available. So what is one of the most significant markers of an effective leader? It is that she is available and responsive in a time of need. Church people need someone who is there for them. That doesn't mean you need to be there for them all of the time, and it doesn't mean that you need to have all of the answers. It doesn't mean that you have to fix everything for them. But your willingness to be there for them when they have questions will increase your stock value for them. Most people need to be heard more than they need something fixed, so be available. Number 3, be part of a team. You've probably heard it said, there is no I in team. In church life, that's particularly helpful. When you have questions or concerns, bring them to your team. Use each other, lean on one another as a valuable resource as you approach church issues, concerns, or initiatives. Do that as a team. Know that you do not function alone and you don't need to. This should be a comfort and a consolation to you. Churches don't need heroes. We don't need lone wolves or lone rangers. What we need is faithful and effective teams. Number 4, communicate and advocate for good communication. Now, remember this. Most leadership bodies see themselves as decision makers. But in the church, you are so much more than that. The congregation has no idea what takes place in a meeting or in a church boardroom. In my congregation, I insist that the last part of every agenda holds a very important item. It says, communication plan. Baked into the cake of every agenda is an assumption that we not only need to make decisions, but we need to share the fruit of this meeting in a summary, simple form to the congregation. And what you need to do is form a predictable pattern that the congregation can anticipate. So use email, or use a bulletin announcement, or a mailbox insert. Allow the congregation to count on that, and they will become more aware. They may not always read what you put out there, but if your pattern is to inform them, they will respect and appreciate, and most importantly, trust their leadership. Which is a good segue to number 5, grow trust. David Odom observes that leaders grow trust in at least 5 ways. Number 1, put relationship security and building first into your leadership strategies. Work hard at protecting and enhancing congregational relationships. When relationships are strong and healthy, differences and stressors can be overcome, and these can become sources of learning. The bridges that exist between us, when they are strong, can carry heavy, heavy loads. Number 2, says Odom, is listen. So what are people expressing? What are they suppressing? What are the words and the vocabulary they are using? But also, what is the subtext underneath what they are saying? Are they hurting? Are they fearful? Are they grieving? Are they angry? All of this is data. When you listen to someone else, they feel valued and they will trust you. Number 3 on Odom's list is empower action. Entrust others with tasks by letting them be a part of the action. Accept the way they do things, even if it's not your way, and even if it's not perfect. Number 4, name the mistakes you've made and the lessons you've learned. So name it, own the hurt that you've caused in a meaningful way, and then keep going. Number 5, don't promise and then not deliver. One of my key leaders always says, all of the time, we need to underpromise and overdeliver. Number 6 is confidentiality. This is important. Private concerns that relate to health, emotional health, vulnerability, these are the things that you need to hold in sacred trust. If someone entrusts you with something that is raw or vulnerable or of a personal nature, you need to hold that in confidence. And if holding this in confidence is causing you stress, you should find someone you trust to help you carry the burden. But you cannot disclose the identity of this person. If someone discloses physical or sexual abuse with you, you need to be clear with them that you cannot keep that in confidence and that it must be shared. The second way to approach confidence is this. A particular team member's position on an issue that is discussed. It is far better to say to someone else, we don't all see things the same way on our leadership body, which is fair to say, than to highlight a particular individual's position on that team. You need to hold that in confidence and preserve a sense of team. Number 7, don't keep secrets and don't ever espouse secret knowledge or awareness with your team. Abuse of all kinds and abusers always insist on secrecy. So as a church council or as a board member, when issues arise in the congregation that relate to the pastor or the church that you bring up in a leadership meeting, you should be prepared to name the individuals who have a concern. If their concerns are worth raising and worth raising in a leadership body, this needs to be shared with the team so that the team can address it in a meaningful way. Too often, church leadership and church leaders will say, well, someone mentioned this to me. And they will say, but they've asked me to keep this confidential. But here is where there's a key difference between confidentiality and secrecy. Too often, and I'll say far too often, leaders say things like this as a way of hiding their own opinion and grievance behind someone else. So sometimes this will come packaged as, all these people are telling me, but then that leader can't name a one. I will be honest to say that I will have none of this in a leadership team meeting. As a pastor and as a fellow leader, I will not stand for that, and I will always insist that they either express their view or they name the individual who espouses that view. Leadership cannot keep secrets from one another, and the team needs to know the dynamics that they are facing and where they are coming from. There needs to be emotional safety in the culture of the team for team members to express their concerns and have the courage and conviction to do so. Second, you cannot have unknown and outside voices influencing your team and then still be effective. It won't work because you won't be able to trust each other. So say things and work as a team in ways that grow trust with one another. Number 8, be a person of character, someone who can be looked up to. Congregations value and need consistency, predictability, availability, and clarity. You are not there in a representative capacity. You are there to be a sound person of character who does not yield under pressures, but who operates from an internal ethic of what is best for this community of faith, irrespective of my personal opinion. Number 9, commit to a learning and growing posture. If you spiritually grow, your church will too. It is better to approach your role from a place of curiosity than certainty. It is better to adopt a learning posture than to believe that you have all the answers or that you can provide them. People with large egos come with large blind spots. While people like this have immense energy and charisma and horsepower, and this can be immensely attractive and sometimes even useful, they tend to be those who overlook significant parts of a congregation and its life and its ministry. So be courageous enough to see this in yourself as much as you may see it in someone else. When you commit to a learning posture rather than one that's based on self-assuredness, you will grow emotionally and spiritually, and your church will too. So we want to encourage you, if you are a working professional or a general manager of a restaurant or a business owner, to bring all of your professional wisdom, your gifts and insights and your skills, but don't bring your professional title and your role. Bring your wisdom, but don't bring your title. Your knowledge of organizing things and working with people is invaluable, but just know that the church is different than a business setting. Often churches are places where the dynamics that are in play more often resemble families or a neighborhood more than a business. Number 10, Ensure that you have a legacy. During your time of service, do something that lasts. The best way to do that is pass your learning on to others who will follow you. So write things down. Do things in such a way that you can mentor and train your successor. When you get to the end of your term of service, be ready to present a list of 10 things that you have learned as a leader. Take your successor out to coffee and be available for them after you have served, after they take your place. And by doing so, your congregation will become a learning organization. Churches need to ensure that we don't just repeat the past. We need to learn from it and then move forward. If you start your term of service mindful that you are holding it only for a time, you will help your community of faith to learn and grow. This training time began with one of my favorite leadership quotes. If you want to build a ship, don't drum up people to collect wood, and don't assign them tasks and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea. Good leadership is about creating yearning and longing. There are undoubtedly jobs and roles in the church that need people to fill and to get certain tasks done. But work in the church is more than getting tasks done. It's about changing hearts and lives. It's about transforming them. If you are familiar with Storehouse, you hear it all of the time. We are about encouragement, equipping, and empowering. We do that with things that are old and new, but ultimately it's about nudging you and giving you the tools you need and emboldening you to be who you are called to be right where you are. We're hoping you are cultivating a longing for the sea by using the tools we share with you to build a ship and a culture of your design. So we want to give you the last word on this training, and that means that you talk and engage together as a group about what you are ready to do and where you are ready to go. If we've missed something, and surely we have, because not one size fits all, talk about those things too. Our goal is to get you going on the conversations that you want to have, that you need to have, that you feel called to have. We do this so that the body of Christ can be all that it can be. And as together, we seek to be those who transform lives and communities worldwide.